Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is William Hindman, your host, and this is Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job or they don't. Hey, guys, today our story comes from the Junkyard News. Please go over there, tell him I sent you, check him out. He has a lot of good information, a lot of good videos, regular long videos and shorts. Go check him out. Like I said, tell him I sent you. And please subscribe and hit his like and share button so it helps his algorithms. That being said, if you would, please hit my subscribe button. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys have me over 1,800. I'm trying to get to 2,000. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I couldn't do this without you. The bell icon tells you when I put out a new video. Please leave a comment. Hit the like and share because it helps my algorithms. And what that does is that has the search engine pushing me in front of more people. So my numbers are, in the thousands, not in the tens. Because when it's, 20 people looking, it's like, wow, really? That's as good as I'm doing? A little disheartening. Anyway, thank you again, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so, you've heard me say that, the taxpayers have to pay out for the bad policing and that there's no good police. Well, this one here is the taxpayers of Rikers, New York, gets to pay out $1.2 million. Taxpayers get to pay out $1.2 million for the mistreatment of an officer who turned in other officers crossing that thin blue line and going beyond that blue wall. They fired him, and he sued them and won. So he got $1.2 million that the taxpayers have to pay. Now, why aren't these scumbags paying for this? Let the scumbag, above the law, sovereign citizen, cops, pieces of crap, let them pay for this. Don't make the taxpayers pay for it, because it's not going to change while the taxpayers are paying the bill. Let these clowns pay the bill. Then it'll change. Guarantee overnight. You get into those pension funds, this stuff will stop. Because, oh my God, you're taking my money. Yeah, no shit. We're taking your money because you're a scumbag. Anyway, let's get into this. And there's no video. It's just mainly audio. And it's a Junkyard News talking. So I'm going to stay out of this one. It doesn't do any good for me to try to jump in and try to add something that doesn't need to be added. So here you guys go. Like I told you, there are some good cops out there, and here's what happens to them when they speak up. So here we go.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to this video by the Junkyard News. And in today's video news story, I want to talk to you about Michael Farella, who some might say is one of the good cops out there. Or at least he was. I want you to picture Sergeant Farella sitting in his squad car, gripping his steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. For a long time this sergeant had seen police misconduct. And it seemed to him that every time misconduct in the department was investigated, it was whitewashed, it was hidden, and nothing was done about it. Because that's how things work normally in a department. You look out for your own. The unspoken rule is simple. You don't rat out other cops. And it didn't matter if what you saw or what you knew was wrong. It didn't matter if the badge was supposed to stand for something greater. If you broke the thin blue line and the blue line of silence, you might as well hand in your gun and your shield right there. Because if you didn't, they would find a way to take it from you. And that is exactly the situation that Sergeant Michael Farella found himself in. You see, in Newark, a former Rutgers University police sergeant has just reached a 7-figure settlement with his former employer after he accused the department of firing him for exposing bad behavior. Now, Farella joined the Rutgers University Police Department in Newark in 2001. He was promoted to sergeant and served on the force until he was fired in 2018, according to a lawsuit he had filed back in March of 2019. Now, the lawsuit had claimed originally that Farella was fired after his supervisors found out that he was an author of a letter, a memo, exposing fellow officers at Rutgers. According to the court documents, Farella sent a letter to the department's chief and deputy chief in August of 2017. He did this anonymously at first, of course, and the letter outed supervisors in the department for drinking on duty, sleeping on duty,
Thinking about going solar, but not sure whether it's worth it for your home? Well, before you get quoted,
stealing overtime, failing drug tests, conducting private side hustles while on duty, as well as getting paid on days they never even showed up for work. Not only that, he claimed that the department intentionally would lose disciplinary files of fellow officers. The letter also exposed how the department covered up a second drunk driving violation by an officer who hit a parked car while intoxicated and injured a female passenger. Now, at the time, the police department took some unspecified measures to address the issues that he outlined in his memo. But months later, during an internal investigation by Internal Affairs in 2017, the deputy chief asked Farella outright if he was the whistleblower who had sent the letter or memo, and Farella admitted that he was. 2 days later, Farella was the sergeant on duty when a new patrol officer started a police pursuit over some minor traffic violation. When Farella, who was the acting sergeant at the time, decided that the violation was not worth the danger to the community to have the pursuit go on, he ordered the officer to stop the chase. And at first she ignored him. She actually ignored him several times before she finally complied with his orders and ceased the dangerous pursuit. Now, at the time, an administrative review found that Sergeant Farella had correctly handled the situation according to policies and procedures. However, after the department found out that he was the whistleblower, Farella was fired 8 months later in May of 2018. But his final disciplinary notice said that he had failed to properly supervise the police pursuit, a direct contradiction to the actual report. Farella claimed in the lawsuit that the real reason for his termination was the whistleblower letter he had sent out. Now, you know, police always say, oh, there is no code of silence. There is no thin blue line, them versus us. They always claim that the blue line represents fallen officers. But time and time again, we hear these stories where police officers that have tried to do the right thing have come out and said, no, the blue line is a real thing. It is us versus them. It is everybody else versus the police department. It is the blue line shadow that follows an officer throughout his career. And we hear it time and time again. How many videos have we seen on YouTube where an officer is perceived to be doing something he's not supposed to be doing? There are other cops around, and you read it in the comments. People are asking, why aren't those other cops who are watching doing anything? Why aren't those other cops standing around stopping that officer? It's because of the blue line. And other police officers often do not report misconduct by colleagues due to a combination of cultural, institutional, and social pressures. The unwritten rule is commonly referred to as the blue code of silence and the thin blue line mentality. Several key factors contribute to this. Of course, there's loyalty and brotherhood. Police departments emphasize teamwork and trust as officers rely on each other on the job. Reporting misconduct can be seen as betraying the brotherhood, and it's obvious to everybody out there. When officers decide to break the code of silence, they can, may, and will face consequences such as harassment, social isolation, denied promotions, or even being labeled as a rat by their peers. Some whistleblowers have reported being assigned dangerous tasks as a form of punishment. These dangerous tasks, some may say, are a way the department can say, hey, maybe this problem will work itself out if we put this officer in a dangerous situation. Maybe this officer may just quietly disappear. Now, departmental and union protections also play a role. Police unions and department leadership often discourage officers from reporting misconduct to avoid scandals, lawsuits, and damage to a department's reputation. There is also a tendency for internal investigations to be too lenient on officers accused of wrongdoing. There are many cops out there that believe that reporting misconduct will not lead to any meaningful consequences for the offending officer. If complaints are ignored, downplayed, or mishandled, officers feel there is no point in speaking out. I mean, what's the use? And the good officers out there that may feel compelled to report bad behavior may fear career consequences. Because it's obvious that officers who report misconduct may find their careers stalled with fewer opportunities for promotions or even transfers to a higher paid department. They may be labeled as troublemakers, making it difficult to work effectively with colleagues, especially if those colleagues label them a rat and ostracize them and put them in isolation. In some police cultures, minor infractions are often overlooked, creating an environment where misconduct gradually becomes accepted as part of the job. Over time, officers may come to see excessive force or even unethical behavior as routine rather than unlawful. While some departments have introduced policies and protections for whistleblowers, the Blue Code of Silence remains a significant barrier to accountability in policing. Changing this culture requires strong leadership, clear consequences for misconduct, and legal protections for officers who choose to speak out against bad behavior. But while laws exist to protect police whistleblowers from retaliation, departments often find ways to work around these protections and push out officers who report misconduct. Of course, some of the common tactics include creating a hostile work environment. Fellow officers refuse to back them up on calls, they avoid speaking to them, and they treat them with hostility.
At Grainger, we have over 1 million products, including the ones that help keep your workplace safe.
The whistleblower may find themselves ridiculed, given derogatory nicknames, or be subject to verbal abuse and harassment. Not only that, the department may suddenly start scrutinizing the whistleblower's actions at every turn, issuing reprimands for minor infractions that would normally be overlooked under normal circumstances. And like the sergeant outlined, you have bogus investigations and trumped-up charges. A department may lodge internal investigations against a whistleblower looking for any reason whatsoever to fire them, like accusing them of policy violations that were never enforced before, claiming poor performance despite years of good evaluations, or digging into one's personal life and issues to discredit them. While legal protections exist, these indirect tactics often push whistleblowers out before they can fully benefit from the protections that the law affords them. This discourages other officers, of course, from speaking up because they see what's happening to their former colleague, reinforcing the culture of silence in policing and silence behind the blue line. Now, to get back to Michael Ferella's case, he will get $720,000 of a $1.2 million settlement that has just been reached with Rutgers University Police Department. His attorneys will get the remaining $490,000. Now, the former sergeant claims that Rutgers fired me after I turned in cops for drinking, sleeping, stealing, and other bad behavior. Now, of course, the Rutgers Police Department always claims that they take allegations of employee misconduct extremely seriously and investigate them thoroughly and appropriately in accordance with proper procedures. But again, going back to why this sergeant was originally terminated, it was due to a rookie cop engaging in a police pursuit, and when this sergeant followed policy and told the rookie, "Stand down, stop the pursuit, it's over," the investigation claimed that he did the right thing. He followed policy. He followed procedure. He was actively supervising that pursuit and did what he needed to do, made the decision he needed to make, gave the orders that policy told him he had to give. But after the department found out that he was the whistleblower, all of a sudden they flipped the script. They said, "No, we're going to terminate you for not supervising that pursuit, for not making the right calls, for not doing your job as a sergeant." Now, the sergeant also claims in the lawsuit that the other officers that were involved in that incident were just given written warnings, while the new officer was suspended for 3 days for her actions and the fact is she did not stop the pursuit immediately upon being ordered to. The sergeant also said that the findings are clearly contradicted by radio recordings during the pursuit and that the administrative review memo clears him. It said that the termination was entirely in retaliation for the whistleblower letter, which is a violation of the state's protection for whistleblowers. The sergeant's attorney was also quoted as saying he's the only one that blew the whistle on all types of unlawful conduct, and he got the most severe discipline of any officer. They say the blue line doesn't exist. They say the code of silence doesn't exist, but time and time again we see it surface, and I for one am getting sick of it. Thanks again for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay, guys, like I said, I wasn't going to inject into that. It was just mainly information. Thin blue wall. Yeah, imagine that. Sovereign citizens, guys. I'm telling you, that's what they think they are. So anyway, go over to Junkyard News and tell them I sent you guys over there. Hit their subscribe, hit their like and share button, please, because it helps their algorithms. And once again, folks, thank you very much for honoring me with a subscription. If you would, subscribe and hit the like and share because it helps my algorithms. Have a great and safe day. Remember, always record the police because you're back to blue till it happens to you.